Hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. I'm your host, Robert, and this is my guest, Anastasia. She's from Columbia, Missouri, and the winner of our Building a Hairdresser-Centric Future Survey giveaway. Anastasia, will you introduce yourself, please?
I am Anastasia. I have been in the industry going on 7 years, and I recently just opened my own studio salon. It is called Sunshine Hair Design, and I absolutely fell in love with what I do. I am not your typical hairstylist. I never dreamed that doing hair would be something that I loved doing. That is not, like, I've been in the industry for 7 years and I'm 37. So I started at later on in my life. Doing hair as a little girl was not my dream. So, I'm not your typical hairstylist at all. And I'm not your typical owner either, because I do not have a full book.
All right. Well, what were you doing before hair? How'd you find your way into the industry?
Before doing hair, I had taken a couple of years off of work. And then before that, I was a certified med tech. So I was basically working in nursing homes, working with elderly people.
Okay, cool. And how'd you find yourself learning how to do hair and becoming a hairdresser?
I had a really bad experience at an upscale salon in my town. And from that day forward, I was determined, I had the typical story, before that I had been doing box color on my own hair and wanted the experience of a salon, and it had gone wrong and my hair had gotten ruined. And from that day forward, I really wanted to try to figure out what went wrong. So I went to hair school. And during my interview at hair school, the guy told me, "You're going to fall in love with doing hair." And I told him I wasn't there to figure out how to love hair. I just really wanted to learn how to do my own hair correctly.
Oh, interesting. That is, I feel like that's one of the first ones that I've heard. That's a cool story. Awesome. Okay. So you went to hair school, you said, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then, did you find a salon to work in while you were in school, or did you wait until you graduated? Tell us about how you got your first salon job before you moved out on your own.
My first salon job, honestly, was at a corporation. It was a salon. It was a corporation salon here in Columbia, where I got paid by the hour, and I worked there for 3 years. I got pregnant with my daughter, and I ended up taking 4 weeks off for maternity leave, came back when she was 4 weeks old. Okay. And I had been working open to close and just really missing out on the time with my kids. Like, I had to leave in the morning and I wasn't home when they were going to bed. So I had finally figured out that, I was making money for somebody else on the craft that I knew how to do.
Gotcha.
And there just had to be something better.
Okay, cool. Did they give you any sort of training after you like at your salon when you first started or anything like that?
They had like incentives. They would have little trainings. And at first, when I got out of school, like, that was the place to work. Okay. Because they had vacation and they had, 401k and insurance, which is things that hairstylists don't get. Yeah. And it's usually stuff that we have to pay for out of pocket. So that was the place to work. But over the course of a few years, it just wasn't any longer.
Okay. And were you able to go right onto the floor? Did you have to assist after school?
So with a corporation salon, I was able to go right to the floor.
Okay. And how often did they have any sort of training, or were you seeking your own training?
At first, they had trainings about every 4 months, and then it quickly died off.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And you said you worked there for 3 years before you decided to go out on your own?
No, after that 3 years, I had went to a upscale salon, and I was a commissioned stylist for a year. And then I decided to become a booth rental stylist. Okay. And then this past June 1st, I decided to go out on my own.
Okay. So you went from a corporate salon where you started off working behind the chair, getting paid hourly. Did you build up a clientele that you were able to bring to the next salon, or no?
I built up quite a clientele, and I was under the pretense that my clients would follow me.
Yeah.
A few did, about a handful.
Okay.
Um, but they were that place's clients, basically, because it was a cheap salon. It really was.
Okay.
It was a walk-in salon.
Okay.
And I had moved to a bigger salon after that. And when people are when people are used to paying $15 for a haircut, and now I'm going to a commissioned salon, haircuts are much more expensive.
Okay. So that's a really good point I'd like to bring up and focus on for a second is when I go in to talk to stylists that are coming out on their own or looking to make some changes. We talk a lot about identifying the demographic. Like if someone can charge if someone can pay $15 a haircut, are they going to pay $30 a haircut or $50 a haircut? And it sounds like what you're saying is it was a pretty small percentage that were able to move. Was the distance large between the locations that you moved?
No, it was 10 miles.
Okay. All right. And okay, so you build up a book, and then when you moved, the price point sounded like the price point was the biggest barrier or hurdle for your guests to get over. So you were only able to maintain a small percentage of those clients. And then you were there for a year, continuing to build before you went out and became a booth rental. Did you booth rent at the same salon, or did you switch salons again?
I booth rented at the same salon that I was a commissioned stylist.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it was optional. You could either be a commission or be a booth renter.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. That's cool. And why did you decide to go from being a booth renter to being opening up your own spot?
Back in the middle of COVID, when COVID first started, I had never taken that much time off of work. I was, essentially off work for 7 weeks. And I always joked around that was the longest I had been off work. Like that was the worst maternity leave ever. That's because, even when I had my daughter, I only took 4 weeks off work. So I had a lot of time on my hands to think about, my future during that 7 weeks. And during that same year, I ended up taking another 5 weeks off work for surgery. So in the year 2020, I ended up being off work for a total of 12 weeks.
Wow.
And I didn't have that. If it wasn't for my husband, we wouldn't we wouldn't have survived. We have 2 children. So I had a lot of time to think about some things and my future and what did that mean for me and where was I going? It's always been my dream since hair school to open my own salon. But to me, I thought that was like a multiple chair salon.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that could mean just me.
Okay.
And I had reached out to somebody that I really looked up to in the salon community and asked if she had a booth available. And she said, no, but I know of something coming available. And she sent me some plans to this building. And at first I thought she was absolutely crazy. And I talked it over with my husband and he said, well, what's the worst that can happen? And he was right. Like what's the worst that could happen? Like I have built a clientele now. I'm not fully booked, but I've built enough clientele that I could make it.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how did you decide that you could make it? Was there some financial considerations as well? Did you run all the numbers and based on your current existing clientele and tell us a little bit about that?
So back in December, I hired a business coach, a hairstylist business coach.
Okay.
Her name's Elizabeth Fay, and I don't know if you know who that is or not. And I joined Workshop in a Box. And in that process, one of the very first things that she goes over is the perfect pricing method. And that's basically learning your numbers and working it backwards. And it's a year-long program, and I'm still in it. And it has really given me that confidence that I needed to know what my exact numbers are, why I charge what I charge, and to just really get in tune with like what I want in my life. So it's like made me it's made me a better mom, a better friend, and a better hairstylist.
Okay. Awesome. And we'll put the name of that stuff down so viewers and listeners can find that information for themselves. What was it called again?
Workshop in a Box.
Workshop in a Box. And who is the coach?
Elizabeth Fay.
All right, cool. Elizabeth Fay, Workshop in a Box. Cool. So you get a coach and you go through this workshop, and she helps you really nail down your numbers, and that gives you the confidence. So also, like, speaking of confidence, you mentioned that, having all that time off, and you gave you time to think. Because of COVID, being off with COVID, did you find yourself doing like house calls and stuff like that?
During COVID, no, but I had been doing house calls before COVID.
Okay.
COVID I had heard of so many people getting in trouble with their licenses and everything. Like, I wouldn't even do my husband's hair during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like nobody got their hair done in my house during COVID.
Okay.
But still, even now that, COVID's calmed down a little bit, I still do house calls. That is a big thing for me.
Okay.
I have an elderly lady that I have done her hair for 4 or 5 years now, same time every week.
Okay.
And a big thing for me switching to my studio. My studio's on the second floor. She's a $20 client. So like, I don't really make much off of her. When I switched to my studio, she was my biggest, like, I have to be able to do her hair no matter what. Like, she's stuck with me no matter what has gone on in my life.
Gotcha.
So when I found out my studio was going to be on the second floor, she can't climb stairs.
Okay.
And I don't have an elevator. So now I go to her house.
Okay. Nice. You brought up something earlier that I wanted to ask about. So this sounds like, a lot of hairdressers went out and were doing house calls during COVID, and that's what incentivizes them to want to open up a suite. Like I've talked to a lot of stylists that have left the salon to open up a suite, and it had a lot to do with the fact that they could realize all the revenue that was coming in, and they got to keep all of it except for the cost of like color and stuff. So that had nothing to do with it. It wasn't even that you saw the money potential you could make by bringing it all in. First of all, you were a booth rental, so you already got to see that. It was more about just going after something that you wanted, and that was to have your own spot. Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
Awesome.
and it was to provide something that Columbia doesn't have.
Gotcha.
Columbia doesn't have a spot that I knew I had a vision. Okay. And I had talked to my coach about that. I had this vision to create a space for people where they don't have to feel like they have to get, they can come as they are. They don't have to do their hair and their makeup to come get their hair done. And there's not a place like that in Columbia.
Okay, cool. So you had, not only did you have the desire, but you also had a vision as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I like that. It was more about just having the time to sit and plan to realize your dream versus some of the other reasons we heard. So that's cool to hear. So what would you say your book is like? How many how big is your clientele? Do you have that number? Just to give people an idea of what.
My clientele is about 50 to 75 people.
Okay. All right. So 50 to 75 people. And with the numbers that you have, based on that number and your calculations, you felt confident that you could break even or make a profit on your going out on your own?
I am making a profit.
Okay, so there you go, everybody. You see that you got a number for from Anastasia about like how big her clientele is. I'm sure the prices and the frequency of visits and everything is going to be impacted, but just to give everybody some actual data, 50 to 75 clients, and Anastasia was able to go out on her own. So while that's going to be different for people because rents are going to be different as well as the prices that you charge, that's a good number to have. How about anything else that you could think of? How about like your mental health status? Was there any time where you were worried about going out on your own, or was it always just excitement and ambition, or
Oh, I was totally freaked out at first when I thought about it.
yeah, okay. And so it was really the coach that helped you with the confidence, or were you still having some fear or anxiety about it?
The coach helped me, my husband helped me, and the few people that I told, because it was a huge secret at first.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I had to start, I had to pay for everything in my room. I had to buy everything.
Okay. What type of startup costs were you looking at? You know,
I had to purchase my shampoo bowl, my station. I had to design the whole thing inside. So everything that goes into a salon, I had to buy
okay. All
retail,
right.
all of it.
Okay. So everybody should, get a coach is a great idea. If you're not getting a coach, you want to make sure you add up all the costs of all the stuff that you need to buy and make sure you have enough clients to maybe turn a little bit of a profit so that you're not sitting around losing money, basically. Yeah. All right, cool. Is there anything, any piece of advice that you'd like to offer to anybody that's thinking about going their own, that doesn't have a big book, and anything that they should know that you either maybe you want to reiterate from this interview, or maybe you want to add that we didn't talk about?
If there's one thing that I have learned throughout my years behind the chair, is it's the relationships that I have built with my clients that mean more than me doing their hair. It's that relationship.
All right. Yeah, I
Like,
love that.
no, it's that relationship with my elderly lady. It's not the $20 service. It's the
Right.
relationship.
Yeah, I love that because I think sometimes when people are going through a process like that, everything gets kind of whittled down to dollars and cents, and um, just the sheer fact that you maintain a relationship with somebody who you've had, I think reverberates through your other clients. Like some clients you might not even realize that the relationship you have is as rich as it is because you're able to charge them, a certain amount of money, but you really feel it when you got those clients that you don't really charge that much money, but like, their situation and they're not even able to pay you. So like it creates a contradiction between the charge your worth movement that's going on all over Instagram and like understanding the value of those relationships. So I think there's a balance. You gotta definitely consider that stuff. So I think just the sheer fact that you appreciate that relationship and you went through a process of kind of drilling out your numbers, I think that says a lot about you as a stylist. And I think as long as we all can like learn from that, that the relationships are important, and sometimes it's hard to put value, like a dollar value behind those. What are your goals for the future?
Um, yeah, I'm not even really sure. I'm just kind of taking it day by day. I
Yeah.
I eventually want to have it. It's funny. Somebody asked me the other day what would happen if I were to get a full book, because I do have some people that, are very last minute.
Yeah.
My goal right now, I work Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
Tuesdays are my designated house call day.
Okay.
Um, I don't ever want to get to the point where I can't serve the people that are very last minute.
Okay.
So I still want to be able, I don't want to leave anybody out.
Okay. All right, cool. So it sounds like you want to basically build up your book, but not get too busy. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. What about raising your prices as you get busier? Have you thought about that? yet?
Yeah. I will raise my prices probably towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. And is that something your coach talks about? Is like how often? How often do they say to raise your prices?
We haven't got to that point yet
Okay.
in my coaching program.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think it's good to hear that people are out there taking a chance on themselves and getting help and advice from people. And I like the fact that you have a coach because that's like a sounding board and someone to call when you're stressing out about stuff. And all right. Well, and I like to end with a laugh, every conversation with a laugh. And did you have an embarrassing moment that you would like to share with us from behind the chair or with a client?
Yeah. So I am really protective over people that sit in my chair. And for some reason, I've been told that I look really intimidating because I'm tattooed from like both arms are tattooed and I have RBF really bad.
Okay.
So I had a client sit in my chair and she's still my client to this day because of this situation. And she came from my corporate salon. She was sitting in my chair. First time I ever seen her. And this mid through her appointment, this guy came and sat down and was just like staring at her. And I was like, okay, hold on. And I walked up to him and I was like, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And then she was like, oh no, that's my boyfriend. I didn't even realize it was her boyfriend. I just thought it was like some creepy guy in there stalking.
That's hilarious.
So, I mean, on another note, like at least people know they're safe with me.
Yeah, totally. I love that. That's funny. Oh shit. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. This was great, and I think a lot of people would like to hear that there are other people out there doing what you're doing, and you don't have to wait until you're fully, completely booked. If you kind of nail down the information, the details, and the numbers, and take a little leap of faith, huh? Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, and I guess I'll talk to you again, some other time. Good luck with building, and I'd love to check in with you down the road.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. All right. Well, I think that was it. I think we got through everything, and I think I'll just put that in as one episode. I thought it was pretty good. It flowed pretty easily. I didn't really see a time to take a break. So,
okay.
How'd you feel about it?
I liked it.
Good. Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope you enjoy the blow dry and flat iron.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. And thanks again for taking the survey. That was very helpful information for us as we move forward and start thinking about stuff like topics and services and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
You're all right. Bye-bye.
Bye.